What's going on, my comrades? It's your boy, FrankandtheFurious, back at again for part 2 of the Play-In Predictions with my boy Galactic. We are doing the Western Conference now. That will be fun.
Yep. Yo, what's up, guys? GalacticEmpire here.
Okay, you know what, Galactic? I'm going to let you actually start this off because I started it off last time. Yeah.
Oh, shit. I thought I wasn't paying attention to which one because I told you to pick.
Yeah.
Okay, let's just start. Damn it. Let's just do Edmonton, Chicago. Get that one out of the way first, I guess.
All right. Edmonton.
Let's just get this one out of the way.
So, if it weren't for the Penguins and Canadians, this would be the most lopsided series. Oh,
yeah.
boy.
And it still might be, especially if Corey Crawford doesn't play. If Corey Crawford doesn't play, GG.
Yeah, if Corey Crawford doesn't play, Chicago is basically dead in the water. But I do have a point I would like to bring up, and I brought it up before with Galactic, but you're just going to have
their goaltenders, right?
Yeah, so
yeah,
Chicago's in an interesting situation where Corey Crawford might not be joining them this postseason. So does Chicago kind of go off the board and say, you know what? I don't know if we have that much faith in Malcolm Subban. We gave Colin Delia a nice contract last summer. Do we think, you know what? Let's give Delia the shot. Let's see what he can do. Or do they go super off the board and go with Kevin Lankinen? He won Finland. I could have looked up which tournament they won. Was it the World Cup of Hockey? It was either the World Cup of Hockey or the Olympics. But I lean more towards the World Cup of Hockey. Basically, he led Finland to a victory of a team of no names. So do you go with Lankinen for that reason of, one, maybe Edmonton doesn't have a book on this guy. Maybe they don't know how he plays. Or two, he's kind of already proven he's a big game goaltender. Do you rely on that in the NHL? So those are some interesting points to bring up on what are they going to do there. Since it's pretty much anyone's crease.
Yep. Yeah, and they've already said that if they need to, they'll rotate all three goaltenders, so it'll definitely be interesting. But for me, you look on the opposite end, and you do have more controversy. You have a Koskinen and Smith. Koskinen was probably the better goaltender throughout the regular season, but Mike Smith does well with playoffs. He arguably was the only player on the Calgary Flames last season when they were playing the Avalanche. And you look back, way back before that, he has playoff experience, which Koskinen does not, in the fact that it's like once I made the same point in the last time we tried recording this, but dear Lord, go way back 2012 when Arizona was relevant again and they made the conference finals. So he has a lot of playoff experience and he does well in the playoffs as well. In the regular season, he does have his ups and downs, but he's been a consistent good performer in the playoffs. Do you go with that? Even though Koskinen has been a little better. In my opinion, yes. I honestly think you should go with the more experienced Mike Smith. So Edmonton also has their goaltending issues.
I wouldn't even say issues because it's like...
Neither of them are horrible options.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, if we do go Smith over Koskinen, you're not losing a lot because they're not excellent goaltenders. It's not like they're both winning Vezinas, but at the same time, you could do a lot. Literally look across the ice. You could do a lot worse.
Yeah.
So,
if Malcolm Subban ever wants to become a starting goaltender, now's his time to do it. Now's his time to prove it.
Yeah.
If he can shut down Edmonton and help Chicago secure a playoff spot, that's one damn good way, and I honestly see the only way left for him to secure a spot as a starting goaltender. because this is, I'm pretty sure, also a contract year for him. So clock's ticking.
Yeah, this is a big year to see for Subban. This is a big
Yeah.
3 to 5 games for Subban, because this decides whether a fringe team like New Jersey says, you know what, maybe we'll give him to maybe say push I don't know why New Jersey was actually a bad option.
Yeah, they have Blackwood.
I'm crazy, and I still have faith in Corey Schneider. But San Jose, maybe they give Subban the offer and be like, hey, maybe he can push Martin Jones, if not steal his job. Maybe
possible. Martin Jones has been, I don't know what he's been in the last year or two. Oh, God.
Maybe Detroit says, you know what, let's run Bernier and Subban if Subban has a good postseason. Or maybe he stays in Chicago.
Yeah, does Chicago trust him enough?
So I think Subban is... I think he should be dying to hit the crease and play some of the best hockey he's ever played.
Yeah, he has to.
Now is the time to do it.
Yeah. So I remember we talked a lot about offense and defense, youth versus experience, because Chicago still has their core
Kane,
Taves, and on all Keith from their dynasty in the early 2010s. But another thing that I wanted to bring up, and that I said that for Chicago, the way that you even potentially win this matchup is keep it 5-on-5. Because I mentioned that minus San Jose, because San Jose has the best penalty kill. They're not playing anymore, though. So out of the teams playing, Edmonton has the highest power play and penalty kill. So for me, if I was Chicago, I'd be looking to keep things 5-on-5 as much as possible. Because your penalty kill is bad.
Even then, 5-on-5, Edmonton, I am in the belief, outmatches them everywhere. You look at the top offensive talent. I'm taking McDavid and Draisaitl any day over Kane and Taves, and that's no slight to Kane, but Taves isn't what he used to be.
No, neither of them are.
I mean, Kane's still good, but it's mainly Taves I look at where it's like, But you look on defense, Chicago has been trying a defense by committee, but I think they're finding out Olli Maatta has issues. The dude skates like he's in quicksand half the time.
I love Olli Maatta, don't get me wrong, but he definitely had his issues.
Yeah, and we don't even need to bring up Brett Seabrook or Slater Cuckoo, because those two are just bad at this point in their careers.
Well, and another problem with Chicago is the fact that they didn't know the pause was going to happen. They sold at the deadline. They got rid of Robin Lehner.
They got Lehner, Eric Gustafsson.
Yeah. I mean, they got rid of some really good big pieces that if they wanted to be able to beat Edmonton, that they're going to need. And without Corey Crawford in net, I just don't know how much that they're going to be able to do. So I have Edmonton getting out of my predictions, the only clean sweep out of the play-ins. I have Edmonton winning this one in 3.
Yeah, I'm not one to typically pick sweeps, but if there's a series that's going to be a sweep, it's going to be this one.
It's going to be this one, yeah.
Chicago has to get lightning in a bottle in net. They have to just hope to God one of the goaltenders goes on a Cinderella run like the Hamburger.
That or Edmonton's offense takes a minute to wake up. There's always that option, too. I mentioned it with Pittsburgh, too, because you look at that matchup there. Carey Price either has to be turned to 2016 form or it's game over, or you kind of have a lulling offense that is just sitting there on a pile of cow shit, trying to figure out what it's doing. If you get that for the first 2 games for Edmonton, I remember I mentioned this in the first time we tried recording. if you're Chicago and you want to steal games, you're going to have to do it in the first 2 games and hope Edmonton isn't waking up yet. Once Edmonton wakes up, it's game over.
Yeah.
Steal your games early. If you want to have a chance at maybe even stealing one later in the series, if you're playing just a really good game, you have to make sure you get those wins early before Edmonton wakes up and becomes the offensive juggernaut that you're just not going to be able to match with.
Yeah. I mean, they need to find a way to handle McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nugent Hopkins, especially if all 3 are running their own lines. They need to find a way to neuter that.
And then I also remember I mentioned they had a few guys that I'm looking forward to seeing, Athanasiou and Yamamoto, especially Yamamoto. I'm really looking forward to seeing him in the lineup more. And then when Athanasiou came over from Detroit, he put up good numbers. I want to see what he can do with them as well. So, because Edmonton bought at the deadline, Chicago sold, and now they're going up against each other. It's just not looking good. So,
yeah, and Edmonton, they could be a dark horse to go deep. I think their additions at the deadline really.
I think with Mike Smith, I say this again, Mike Smith, I really truly believe that he is a good playoff goaltender. Regular season, okay, but I truly believe that Mike Smith is one of the best playoff goaltenders in this in the league right now.
Oh, so Edmonton hopes you're.
It's
right
a hot take, but if Mike Smith can prove that to me, Edmonton will absolutely go on a deep run.
Yeah, it looks like we're both taking Edmonton.
Yep.
I don't think that's a shocker to anyone, because Chicago is Jedi Poodoo, at least. But next up, I'm gonna go with actually this series between the good old Winnipeg Jets and the Calgary Fuegos.
Oh boy, this was an interesting one, wasn't it?
This was an interesting one because there's a lot of moving pieces and storylines in this. On the Winnipeg side, you have the storyline of a defense that has just been patched together with basically the great value version of flex tape.
Winnipeg Jets.
Here for flex tape. The super strong waterproof tape.
That is what has patched their defense. Thank God Josh Morrissey has really developed this season.
Yeah, but dear God.
Hellebuck has to play at his top game if they want to go far. Or if they even want to go anywhere. Hellebuck needs to be ready.
Yeah, Hellebuck has to continue playing like he did in the regular season. If he falters, they're not going to go anywhere.
Hellebuck needs to steal a few. Thankfully, Winnipeg has the offense. If there's a night, they could potentially bail him out. But Hellebuck, he's going to be relied on heavily. And we look over the Calgary side with storylines, and that is Johnny Gaudreau finally going to be good in the playoffs? Is he finally going to be that centerpiece Calgary has needed for years? They've had him in the postseason the past few years. Regular season, he's been good, but the postseason, Johnny Gaudreau has been dragging his feet. Is he going to finally break out? Are we due for Johnny Gaudreau to just rip someone's head off in a playoff game and score like 5 goals? Or when is that going to happen?
We'll have to see. And then also defensively, Mark Giordano didn't have a good season this year.
He did not.
Will he be able to step it up for playoffs?
We'll be able to see. I think hopefully Calgary kind of realizes that, Giordano's he's on the back half of his career. Don't overwork him.
Yeah, please don't overwork Giordano. You have decent defense. Play some Gustafsson. I'm honestly a huge fan of Noah Hannafin.
Yeah,
Him, Anderson will do well. TJ Brody.
Calgary's another team like Carolina where their defense is incredibly deep.
Yeah,
They're all healthy.
But you don't really see any major names that stick out either, minus Mark Giordano. You know, you don't see massive names, star studs that stick out, but solid, strong, deep depth. So their defense is very well put together.
Yeah, it's definitely a strong suit of the Flames is locking down the back end.
Yeah. Which they're going to need, because on the opposite end of Hellebuck, you're going to either have Cam Talbot or David Riddick. My money's on Riddick, but I believe he's going to be on a very short leash.
And we both agree there.
I'm talking if game one that they lose 4-1, Riddick may be getting the boot already. Because Cam Talbot had the better numbers in the regular season, and he also has more playoff experience than Riddick. He went with Edmonton on that run that they had a few years ago when I believe they lost to Anaheim in second round, game 7. So Talbot has experience. But I think overall as a goaltender, Riddick is better. But yeah, it'll be a very interesting situation there.
Yeah. And the final note I want to bring up for Calgary is, what are we going to see from Sam Bennett? He's kind of gone on a journey of rediscovering his place in the league, and he had a good postseason last year, actually. Put up 5 points in the 5 games. Sam Bennett wasn't hurting the team, so
no, he wasn't.
Is Sam Bennett going to kind of establish himself as, he's probably a third liner, but he's a good playoff performer? Is that what he's going to become? And this is a good time to kind of make that name for yourself, because even though he's not going to live up to that hype he had in the draft, if he can at least put up important key goals in the postseason, the dude can make bank. Teams appreciate that. They appreciate going deep.
So, yeah, and then another player I'm interested in seeing from is, because the second half of the season, this guy lit up the scoreboards like a rocket. So I want to see if he's going to be able to continue that, because if he can continue that, he will be able to help Calgary reach the level of offense that Winnipeg has. And that is Mangiapane. I'm very interested in seeing what Andrew Mangiapane can do.
Yeah, Mangiapane, this is his time to kind of show that he's taken a big step and he's a legitimate top 6 option. This is a good
because
chance
if he can step up to that top six option, Calgary is going to get so much more out of their forwards. So yeah. Going on what I've said before in the past and everything, this is the one series out of all of them that I'm not taking the better defense, in my opinion. Obviously, I'm taking better goaltending, but this one was back and forth for me for a while. But I think that the offense will be good. I believe Hellebuck will be good, and I think the defense will put just enough between them and between Hellebuck and the offense of the Flames. I'm giving Winnipeg the 3-2 win.
And it seems to be standard now for some reason, I will be taking the reverse, because I think the Flames are going to finally do something in the postseason. Because if you're Johnny Gaudreau sitting at home right now after practice, and all you fucking hear about are all these rumors, he's worthless, trade him, throw him a bag of pups, he's going to go nowhere with this team. To the point where this season we literally had P-Gate. The dude had to pee during practice, during trade deadline day, and everyone is losing their minds thinking he got traded. That should have never been even thought of, because you shouldn't be trading Johnny Gaudreau. So if I'm Johnny Gaudreau...
That was really funny, though.
Oh, it was hilarious, but all for the wrong reasons. So if I'm Johnny Gaudreau, I'm fucking pissed off. I'm like that. I need to have go out there and take someone's head off and just completely tear up this postseason. And I think in the past couple of years, we've seen many narratives get broken. I think we see Calgary finally make a run happen.
It's possible.
That's my tangent.
I had them going to the conference finals last year, and that didn't happen. So, and that was after. Oh my god! I remember. This is just a small tangent. But whenever I really like I was always into hockey, but when I really started getting into hockey was the year when the Penguins went to the Stanley Cup the first year. And Calgary and Anaheim met in the first round. And I remember everybody saying, oh man, this matchup's going to be great, blah, blah, blah this, blah, blah, blah that. It's going to go 6 or 7 games. And I'm looking at it and I'm just like, Calgary just made it in. And then I look at this here and I've never been so happy to be right about something so stupid in my life. And then I looked at the record, and at this point I'm like, do realize Calgary hasn't won in Anaheim in 3 years?
Yep. Good thing you don't have to see Anaheim.
And I chose the Anaheim Ducks to win in 4 games simply because of the fact they had a better record and Calgary can't beat them at home in Anaheim. And I said, they're just going to lose in 4. And then they got swept, and everybody looked at me like I was a genius, and I'm just like, I don't know what you want from me.
I mean, Calgary's advantage, they don't have to see Anaheim.
Yeah, exactly.
So now's the time to pick them. Anaheim is nowhere near here.
Yeah, they don't like Anaheim.
Man there.
But yeah, so... But like I said, I did have Calgary taking a little bit of a run last year. And I really don't see much that has changed. The only difference from this year and last year that I see is that you switched out Mike Smith with Cam Talbot, and I like Mike Smith as a goaltender better. So for me, it's can't do it. Even if they can beat Winnipeg, they're not going any further.
That is understandable. But yes, what series shall we discuss next?
All right, let's go with Arizona in Nashville.
The most boring series. Not due to who's playing it, just because the games are going to be near unwatchable for basically everyone.
Yeah.
Unless you really
it's going to be a lot of 1-2 goal games.
Oh, if the teams combined for more than... for even just 4 goals. Oh, that's when you pop the cork of the champagne bottle to celebrate that one team discovered how to score.
And for me and everything, I look at Arizona as a team, and I see a team that can score, but they don't have the right piece to do it. I see all of their pieces as great weapons to use as assists. Phil Kessel can score goals. Connor Garland definitely proved he can score goals this year. But until they add a true goal scorer, somebody that just puts the puck in the net, they're going to be dancing around the exact same thing with their oh, good Lord. Both them and Nashville's offenses are just absolutely anemic.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, Arizona is so frustrating because they have all of these pieces. And you think, oh, yeah, they're going to be an amazing team. And for the first half, they were. and then it just stalled.
Yeah.
I know Kemper got injured, but it's not like it was all on Kemper. Like literally the crumbs that were offense that they had in the first half were just gobbled up by God knows what by the second.
Even the Islanders had a better fucking score per game than them.
Like, if you ask me who would I rely on a Game 7 shootout between Adam Pelech and Phil Kessel, I'll probably still choose Kessel, but I'll have to think about it for a little bit.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Arizona is in a very interesting position. And what is Darcy Kemper? Is he truly a Vezina caliber goaltender? Or is this an exception year and Darcy Kemper just had an amazing run? What is Kemper?
Yeah. If Kemper wants to prove to everybody that, he is that top-notch level goaltender, he's got to do it now. He's got to make sure that whenever Arizona is having these really down games where they're struggling to even get a single goal, he's keeping them in them. And this is I don't really know how he'd be able to do that versus the Nashville Predators because, well, they don't score goals either. But I mean, we're talking. You have to keep Nashville down to one goal, it's 1 or 2 goals. You have to. In this situation, so that's it for Darcy Kemper. But then you also look at the opposite side of the net. And do you see Pekka Rinne or do you see UC Saros? And in my opinion, UC Saros. I'm usually one to go ahead and say, well, let's just throw your main guy in there and he'll pick it up. This is one exception I have to that. Literally, except for maybe 1 or 2 good games, the only highlight out of Pekka Rinne's year is that goal. He's been abysmal, and as I love Pekka Rinne, but he is not who he used to be. And right now, I don't trust him. I want somebody who you can trust to keep the puck out of your net more. Because when you're going up against a team whose offense is almost is basically as anemic as yours, you need to be. It's going to be more of a battle of the goaltenders, and you need to make sure that your goaltending is up to stuff. Because if it's not, then that's where you're going to find your faults.
Yeah, Nashville's going to have to be ready in net for it to be a complete battle of attrition because. Well, I believe Nashville's blue line outfavors Arizona. In net, I'm giving Kemper the edge. So they really need to prepare for basically a trench
I'd give Ronta the edge.
For a style of a Ronta.
I'd even give Ronta the edge. I like Arizona's goaltending. I honestly think that they have. No, I have to. I think they have. No, I guess I can't because Vegas with Fleury and Leonard now. No. That or Ronta and Kemper. They really do. They have one of the best duos in goaltending in the league. It's just absolutely insane.
The fact that one can go down and you can reliably go to the other for long stretches of time is a very nice thing to have.
Yeah, it is. So for me, as for determining a winner for this series, it's gotta be down to goaltending. Because you said you give the slight edge defensively to Nashville. I think they're even. I truly do. I think Arizona's defense is just as good as Nashville's. Offensively, like I said, both are anemic. I'd give the slight edge to the Nashville Predators in this situation. And that's where I think that Darcy Kemper and Antti Raanta are going to have to come in. You know, if they play like they play and they don't have any problems and stuff like that, that's where Arizona's going to bite Nashville. Because that small amount of offensive pressure that they have less of than Nashville is going to be able to be regained off of the fact that Nashville's goaltending is not the best. You look at Arizona's penalty kill, and it is 82.7. You look at Nashville's, and oh dear Lord, it's this is another thing, is you got to keep Arizona off the power play. Their power play wasn't the best. It was only 19%. But yours was worse at 17.3. But yet, your penalty kill, 76.1. Keep Arizona off the power play. Keep yourself out of the box. That's going to help your goaltending. That's going to help you win games. But I can't see it happening. I like Darcy Kemper too much. I think that he'll be able to help Arizona secure 3-2 win.
All right. I would like to bring up another point with Nashville, in that what are we going to see from the good old struggling center depth of the Nashville Predators in 2017?
That on paper is
they
gone.
had none. They had no center depth. Once Ryan Johansson went down to injury, their number one center, I think, was Colton Sissons. He's not a bad player. It's just he's not a number one center. And now Nashville,
he's not a number two center.
Nashville has amazing centers. They probably have the most amount of centers on a team. And somehow every single one of them is underperforming. How are you paying Matt Duchene, Ryan Johansson, and Kyle Turris for a combined $22 million for all of them to barely put up good stats?
Yeah,
how does
ridiculous.
that happen? One of them has to play good, right? Someone has to show up, right? Is this too crazy to ask? So yeah, it's a very interesting situation with Nashville, and I know I just slighted them, but when it comes to this series, I give Nashville the edge because they have more experience, and a part of me has more faith that at least one of those three guys, out of Turris, Duchene, and Johansson, can burst out and finally lead that first line. Then I have faith of Arizona magically discovering scoring, because they've shown under Tocchet the past few years. This team doesn't score. They keep the puck out of their own net. They completely shut down games. They're not here to rack up the scoreboard. So I'm going to go with Nashville more. I'm going to think, you know what, after this extended break, this is given Duchene, Johansson, this is given these players, times to be truly prepared. And I think that is something that has a better chance of happening overnight than I think Arizona's coaching style to completely change, which is why I give Nashville the edge in this series.
Fair. One more thing I wanted to mention for Arizona, Phil Kessel. You have Matt Duchene, I have Phil Kessel there. Because if you look at Arizona's roster and everything, forwards that is, on paper, it's amazing. On the ice, not so much. If you honestly get one guy going, you can get an entire line going with Arizona. And if you can get an entire line starting scoring with Arizona, you're in trouble. I mean, you really are. Once you get a hot line on Arizona, they've proven over the season that if a certain line is hot, that line will continue to score game after game after game, and they'll score multiple times. It doesn't matter if it's the first line or if it's the fourth line, they're going to score. The thing is, though, is they have to have that hot player that leads into that. So if they can get if they can get Phil Kessel hot, I mean, we're talking Clayton Keller, Taylor Hall starting to produce. That's where you're going to want to be if you're Arizona.
Okay. All right. Oh,
Alrighty. Finally, last one. After trying for 3 hours.
yep. We end up with Vancouver and Minnesota. A fun series. Because it is very interesting when you think about how kind of two different storylines these two teams have.
Yep.
Vancouver is looking for their first time since 2015, but realistically, their first time since like 2012 to legitimately compete for the cup. While Minnesota is looking for that
Is
one
looking
last
desperately
run
to try and stop their mediocrity and get out of the first round.
They're looking for that one last run. And there are arguments for both teams that make good amount of sense. Like in Vancouver, I would like to bring up a lot of the kids are playing their first postseasons ever. Pedersen, Hughes, Besser, even though he's not a kid, Horvat. Even though he's not a kid, Jacob Markstrom. All of these players these are their first times under this atmosphere. So we get
but
to
you
see
have
what they
older,
are.
experienced players sprinkled in there. Tyler Toffoli, JT Miller is a wonderful person to have on your team right now. If I'm Vancouver,
Jay Beagle.
Yeah, Jay Beagle's down there too.
You got it sprinkled all on in.
I mean, definitely, yeah. I mean, Vancouver has a lot of experience sprinkled in, so they're going to need those guys to step up and act and then like explain what's going on, do the ropes, do all that shit they need to do. Because like I said, even though Minnesota they've been in the playoffs, so they have the experience. It's not a whole lot because you look at it and everything and you see them as the definition of mediocrity. They make the first round only to disappoint everybody, themselves, their fans, the entire NHL, to the point where you have people like me who like the Wild, and I still like the Wild, look at them and say, like, so when are you going to stop being a disappointment? I cheer for you, and then you go to the playoffs, and then you bum out every year. Why not this year you miss the playoffs, actually get your shit together, and give somebody else who wants to actually play for the cup a chance to do that?
Isn't Minnesota fun?
I hate Minnesota.
That's...
I say that, but I love them at the same time. I mean, there's just nothing...
Just like years of bottled
emotions. I don't know what... You never know what to think of Minnesota besides just...
Besides is one giant oops half the time. Oops, we made the postseason. Whoops.
Oops, we missed the postseason.
But just barely, though.
Holy shit, we made the second round. Let's get swept.
Oh, Minnesota. But yeah, it's a tale of two stories, this series, and I really don't have anything else to comment other than, like, this is Minnesota's last shot to do anything.
Essentially, yeah.
They were given life by the 2014 play-in. They were actually playing fine near the end of the season. They were close to a playoff spot. They were making
they were. They definitely picked their shit up. Picked up their shit. So
helps Kevin Fiala's playing like God.
Yeah, he was.
And Suter, for his age, is still a very serviceable defenseman, and Minnesota's defense is nothing to sneeze at.
No, it's not.
So
that's something Vancouver is going to need to be wary of.
Minnesota
in my
wins
opinion,
this by snuffing out
in
Vancouver.
order to win this series, this is what I'm looking at here, all right? And that is, with Vancouver's offense compared to Minnesota's, how is Jacob Markstrom, how many of those shots is he going to be able to save? because I see a lot of 2-2 ties, 3-3 ties. I need to know what Vancouver's offense is going to be able to score compared to how much Markstrom's going to be able to save. Because if you're putting 4 goals up from Vancouver, you should be okay. However, if you're faulting and you only put up 2, Markstrom is going to need to put up some good numbers, because with the defense that he has in front of him, it's not going to be enough to keep everything out. Minnesota's going to put 2 or 3 goals up. So my thing is Vancouver's offense versus the goaltending of, honestly, both Vancouver and Minnesota.
All right. Yeah,
So,
I got nothing else to add to that. So unless you got anything else, I'm good
not
to share.
really.
Oh,
Alex Galchenyuk for Minnesota. If he picks up offensive pressure in the playoffs, that could be a game changer for Minnesota. And I literally mean a game changer, because that's all Minnesota is going to need in order to keep up with Vancouver scoring-wise, because of the defensive blunders of Vancouver. So if Galchenyuk can start scoring, honestly, if the rest of the team scores like they're normal, 2 or 3 goals, and then you give Galchenyuk a goal a game, Minnesota should be able to steal this one away from Vancouver. But for my final prediction, though, I do have Vancouver winning, and I have it being a very close 3-2 win for Vancouver.
oh, this is one of the few ones we agree on, because I'm
Yeah,
going
a few
with
ones
the
that we
Nuckies
agree
as
on,
well.
yeah.
I'm going with the Nuckies as well. As it's fun. They're a fun team to watch. And I think they got incredible amounts of depth that even if they do see injuries, they probably want to keep Deaky Petey and Brett Besser healthy. But if they have injuries in the bottom 6, they got a lot of guys to jump in and take a slot. It's next man up mentality in Vancouver. They got a lot of good players.
Mm-hmm.
So Vancouver's got the depth to make a long run. And now they get to show that, hey, we're finally coming out of the rebuild.
Yeah.
So let's see. Let's see if they can finally do it. But yeah, those are our thoughts on the Western Conference play-ins.
So, do you want to just go over the round robins real quick at the end here? Just say what the seedings are that we have, or no?
I didn't even prepare any of that, so.
All right, well, I'll say mine if you don't mind. I'm already done.
Go ahead.
So, I didn't do this for the East at the end of the video, but because I kind of forgot, but I'll just start with the West, since this is the Western Conference video. For me, it's mostly the same. I have St. Louis keeping the 1st seed. I have Colorado keeping the 2nd seed. However, I do see Dallas overtaking Vegas, and I have Dallas sliding into 3rd and Vegas sliding down to 4th, which means matchup-wise, I have Arizona versus St. Louis. I have Winnipeg versus Colorado, Vancouver versus Dallas, and Edmonton versus Vegas. So those will be very interesting to see. And then for the East, I had Columbus, Pittsburgh Islanders, and the Rangers winning. So means the Rangers will be playing the Tampa Bay Lightning. I have the Columbus Blue Jackets facing Boston. I have the New York Islanders facing the Washington Capitals in 3rd, and Pittsburgh Penguins facing the Philadelphia Flyers in 4th. So that means I had Tampa getting the number 1 seed, Boston number 2, Washington in 3rd, and Philly in 4th. And I really did have a hard time putting Washington in 3rd instead of 4th, because I'm not sure I trust their goaltending this year right now. So, but yeah, that's where I have them.
Yeah, to be honest, I look at the eastern half of the round robin, and it's fair game of whoever's
Anybody
third
could
or fourth.
win for anybody
They're
could get
super
first,
close.
anybody could get fourth. It really is a toss up.
In the West, I think it's a toss up between Colorado, St. Louis. I think Vegas stays third, and Dallas bottoms out at fourth because I have zero faith in Dallas doing anything. So yeah. Prove me wrong, I guess, Dallas. One of my good buddies is a Stars fan, the poor sap. So, yeah, that has been our playoff preview. I would like to thank everyone for watching, and I would like to thank you, Galactic, for coming up with this idea for us to do. And this was fun.
Well, I'm glad to find somebody else on here that I game with that enjoys hockey as much as I do because, well, yeah, there's not a lot of us around the games that we do that are this into hockey. So
it's a fun sport.
I love hockey.
Touche, brother. Back down to touche is the right phrase there. Hell yeah, brother. Hulk Hogan time. But yeah, I'd like to thank everyone for watching. Go check out Galactic's channel down below. He posts some Pokemon stuff, and potentially in the future, we might be doing some NHL stuff over there. So keep a lookout for that. But above all else, stay cute out there, my comrades.